Because, guys, it's almost football season. The Falcons are getting ready. They are in Flowery Branch, and so is 11 Alive's Maria Martin, who has been tracking the team for us as they gear up for a new exciting season, some new faces, some new contracts. Also, Maria, some not so good news for one of the defensive players here. What are we learning today?
Yeah, Faith, the biggest news that we got yesterday, aside from Bijan Robinson's contract extension, was the fact that Jaylen Walker was hurt at the end of practice. I was standing there, and it was honestly one of the more emotional scenes that I've seen in a training camp. Jaylen Walker goes down. It appeared to be at the time a knee injury, which we do know now, which I'll get into in a second. The entire team on a knee, they go over to him, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong. He then gets carted off, which is protocol during training camp, and ultimately they were all continuing their thoughts and prayers. Today we get word from the team officially that it is a torn ACL, and Jaylen Walker will be out for the remainder of the season. What does that mean now? Well, Jaylen Walker leaves a very big hole within this pass rush, especially when James Pierce Jr., who was his counterpart in the first round last year, they are waiting to see whether or not the NFL is going to A, suspend James Pierce Jr., and B, how many games that suspension will actually look like. Those two guys together combined produced 16 sacks for this defense last year. That is a big loss for their pass rush. There are some of those new faces, Faith, that you kind of alluded to a little bit. Azeez Ojulari is a guy that comes to mind. He's coming over here and has kind of a breath of fresh air with this new coaching staff, and this new environment also being close to home certainly helps Azeez as well. Samson Ebukam is a name you need to pay attention to, as well as Braylon Trice, who honestly has tried to work out in the NFL for the last couple of years. He's had 2 season-ending injuries leading up to this year. A lot of coaches believe very heavily in what Braylon Trice can do. So there are some names mixed in there, but this is a big gap to fill. The Falcons, remember, do have a lot of cap space as well. They could dip into free agency and go get a veteran pass rusher, which might be the move for Ian Cunningham, who has not really explored that option so far, the new general manager. So certainly losing a guy like Jaylen Walker, who was just entering his second year in the NFL. He had such a tremendous rookie season and has such a large veteran presence within that linebacker room. He's definitely going to be missed. You hate to see it to any player, but especially a guy who it feels like everything was in front of him and he was going to take a very big step forward this year.
I will say and just put the positive words out there, the end is not now. He just has to recover, and we will see him in the future as he recovers from that. But it is very unfortunate for him and the team, but we'll continue to monitor that. Maria, I do want to get to some positive news. We heard the big news that you gave us with Bijan yesterday. I'm hearing that you all just heard from him moments ago.
Yes.
What is the feeling like right now out there in Flowery Branch, knowing that not only do the Falcons have just an incredible quarterback in Bijan, but that he is now there to say they said that they saw his value, they're paying him the money, and they're going to have a good season with him, it looks like.
Yeah, Faith, I mean, look, it's really rare to have a running back deal of this caliber. Obviously, he is now the highest paid running back in the National Football League. He resets the market for all running backs in the future who do want to get paid, at least ones that play, like Bijan Robinson, right? And Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit is probably going to have a very similar looking contract. He is still a hold-in up there in Detroit. Both of them were drafted in the 2023 draft class, and even Bijan Robinson was talking about his buddy Jahmyr and said that they have talked, and it's something that we're obviously going to continue to watch. But Bijan Robinson, people are happy to have him back. He is probably happier than anybody else to be back out on the football field. He's in the middle of what the coaches are calling a ramp-up period for Bijan, because he did miss the first 5 practices of training camp. But Bijan's a guy where you can't really tell him to slow down. He's someone that wants to get out there and go full speed right away. But since this is a ramp-up period for everyone else, that does include Bijan Robinson. He's back in his helmet, in his pads. This was the second day of pads out here at training camp. But Bijan Robinson, he's about as humble as they get, guys. I mean, you hear the stories about Bijan Robinson. I talked about it at length yesterday, but I'm telling you, I'm around this guy all the time. He is the same person every single day. He even mentioned a contract of this magnitude worth up to $75 million, $51 million in guaranteed money. Faith, he's going to be making north of $22 million per year in this 3-year contract extension. He said it's not going to change him. He doesn't want it to. He wants to remain the same. Even the guy that drafted him, or was a part of the staff in drafting him back in 2023, then head coach of the Falcons, Arthur Smith, texted Bijan this morning, and he told Art, it's not going to change me. I'm going to remain the same player. he got this contract because of how he's played so far. Why would he change now? That's his mindset. That's his mantra. And just to give you a little bit more insight of how humble and just normal Bijan Robinson is off the football field, he said the clerk at his gas station around his house here in Metro Atlanta, he's now befriended this woman. She doesn't watch football at all, but she's so happy every time she sees Bijan bounding through the doors. It's incredible stuff. You can't make it up. The guys are actually a little bit tired of talking about how good he is because Jake Matthews told me, I don't think this guy's ever done anything wrong in his entire life. Bijan's as good as they come, and now he's the highest paid running back in NFL history. It is very deserving for sure.
He's certainly a role model, just 24 years old and already making a huge mark. Big congratulations to Bijan and the entire Falcons team for having him. And we're just really excited that he is going to be here in Atlanta, calling it home for much longer. Maria, let me ask you about this because according to one of your tweets, a lot of movement with this quarterback who's going to ultimately be the pick here. What do we know?
Well, all 4 quarterbacks are still participating. And actually, today was very interesting because Tua Tagovailoa, who was a surprise injury at the beginning of training camp with this back issue that kind of flared up on him, he told us yesterday, I fully anticipate to be completely back tomorrow, meaning today. He looked very good. Guys, he was running in 11-on-11s, the team drills, he was sharp. One of the things about Tua that's always been kind of his MO, if you will, is he's an incredibly accurate passer as a quarterback. And the front office, from the very beginning, when they said this is going to be an all-out battle at the quarterback position, have said they want someone who is very good with accuracy. That's going to be a quarterback. That would be Tua Tagovailoa. His bread and butter is really those throws, the intermediate throws in the middle of the field. He was hitting all of the marks on that. I actually tweeted he threw an interception to Avion Terrell, the rookie that everybody loves because he's AJ's little brother. But right after that throw, because it does happen, of course, in training camp, right after he had that interception, he came back and threw an incredible pass in double coverage and completed it. So Tua looks sharp. He looks good. He didn't look like he was operating a little bit more gingerly like he has in the first couple days of practice. That's not to say Michael Penix Jr. doesn't look good, but he's not repping at the rate that Tua is at this point because, Faith, this is the hardest hitting practice we've seen so far in camp. That doesn't say a lot. We're only in week 2. The first day of pads came on 2 days ago. This was the second day of pads. But honestly, I've been around this team for a long time. Of the previous head coaches, I've not seen a practice that hit this hard as early as I have in Kevin Stefanski's tenure. So I think that's very interesting. But keeping our eyes on the quarterback race, Michael Penix Jr. said he feels great. He doesn't have any appointments with doctors coming up. However, we know that he does need to hit another benchmark to get closer to this full contact that we're anticipating Michael to have. And to be honest, this quarterback competition cannot be fair until both of them are cleared to go full contact. So to me, it needs to be a fair competition for them to choose a quarterback. But unfortunately for Michael Penix Jr., time and timing may not be on his time. Tua Tagovailoa, remember, has taken all of the reps as QB1 in the offseason. So talking about voluntary workouts, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, it was Tua. So Michael Penix Jr. has been waiting in the wings, taking the mental reps, but there is nothing that replicates live football on the field. Hopefully both of them can be full speed here as we continue into training camp at some point.
Hope so, and we know that you will be on it, bringing us the very latest. Maria Martin live for us in Flowery Branch. Maria, thank you so much.